Your headlines this week: unexpected explosion at taco truck, pregnancy reveal, revelations about romantic feelings, an affair to forget, and detective determined to get to the bottom of murder mystery. Hello, this is Coastal News, an unofficial home and away podcast where we dissect the latest week's episodes and discuss the happenings and residents of our favourite fictional town, Summer Bay. Well, we started the week, didn't we, with an explosion at the taco truck. Just insanely unexpected and out of nowhere, really. But definitely seemed to start things off with a bang earlier in the week, and we were left with quite a lot of questions because it just came out of nowhere. Chloe had just gone inside the taco truck, so where is she? Is she okay? Maz's stiletto just sort of lying in the sand. We know Jazz and Ryder were there, caught up in it as well. So it was a bit of a shocking end to the episode, and was a bit like, did that just happen? Like, what? Rewind. So yeah, a bit of a surprise, but nice and dramatic and great to watch all the same. And obviously when we picked up the aftermath episode the day later, we realised Chloe was in a really, really bad way. Some metal shrapnel or something was in her. She was the closest to it. Ryder immediately beat himself up about it, and as sort of the casualties, especially Chloe, was sort of rushed to the hospital, Ryder's sort of attention turns to the blame, the cause of it, and immediately and understandably, I think, looks at Mac's direction based on recent events, the whole tackle wars that we've talked about a few weeks now. And points the finger at Mac. And I thought, Ryder, mate, I know things haven't been going too well and you've not really been getting on lately, but is she really capable of blowing up a taco truck? I mean, she just trots around with her handbag on her arm most of the time. Do you know what I mean? It just felt like a bit of a stretch. And a bit disappointed in Ryder again, because I thought, he's a sensible boy. He knows that they'll find the cause of it, and just hang on a couple of days, they'll know what it was. And I was thinking, actually, throughout all this time where he was blaming Mac and going through all that business with back and forth with Mac, I thought, imagine if it was him that was responsible all along, and of course turned out it was, or at least he's saying it is. It was something to do with a faulty gas line or something, and maybe he'd done something to it. We don't actually know the details of that gas line yet, but he did feel like a bit of a plonker, didn't he? And obviously went and apologised to Max, so good on you, Ryder, for that. And actually wound up getting his job back. I don't know how Chloe will take that when she's out of hospital, because she does seem to like the old taco one, and obviously their business has gone up in smoke, literally. At the hospital, when Ryder was at the hospital, Chloe was being seen to at first response. Mia, obviously very, very worried, rushed home, and she had a go at Ryder, actually. She's, why aren't you hurt? Why is it Chloe and not you? And I know she was only saying it, because she was upset and a bit concerned about Chloe, and it was all a bit panicky. But I thought that was out of hand as well. I thought that was really, really unfair on Ryder, actually, because at that point we didn't know what had happened. It was nobody's fault at that point who was stood where and closest to the blast. I just thought that was a bit off, and we've not been. I'm assuming we'll come to this week in the episodes ahead, but we've not revisited and addressed that. We don't actually still know how Chloe is. We know she's with us still, but we don't actually know in what condition. We've not been back yet, so I'm assuming we're going to be revisiting them in the coming days. But yes, that was a very exciting start to the week, and it's looking like it's going to speed things up a bit for Chloe and Mia's storyline, and it sort of puts Ryder back into Salt where he belongs. So even though it was a bit out of the blue and a bit dramatic, it sort of rebalanced the scales in the bay, so to speak. Now, during all this hospital response drama stuff from the explosion, Mac finds herself at the hospital. Obviously, she's concerned, and obviously, half the bay are there. Ari and Mia are there for Chloe, and Mac round the corner. This bit was really sad. I thought she overhears baby news about Ari and Mia, and just that look on her face, and it's like she had a kick to the gut, and you could tell. I mean, we sometimes forget, because of how Mac's behaviour's been lately. We do sometimes forget that she has just miscarried to Ari herself just a matter of about 6 weeks ago, and she lost him as well, and she's gone through this insanely tough and difficult time, and then to have that of all things, and to find out in that way, I think was really heart-wrenching. And I really did feel for Mac. I really did. I do have a little soft spot for her. I think she's quite funny, but I thought that was an awful way to find out, and she tried her best, didn't she, bless her, to sort of put front up, but it was quite obvious that she was affected by it. And of course that leads to her saying things like, I want to leave the bay. And Dean's having to talk her off that ledge, isn't he? And she says, no, nobody here for me anymore. Everybody thinks, really bad things of me, and da 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 da. And I think, it's that we spoke the other week about her being at rock bottom at that party, and in that online video, and her having to come back from that now. And she's definitely in that process of coming back, where she's got to sort of earn people back again in these small towns. She's got to earn a way, right, back into people's positive thoughts and opinions. So she's in that space, but she's really struggling. I was chatting to somebody actually about this in the week, and they were saying, oh, she's making it all about her, it's not about her. And I just thought, is she? No, I think that's a completely legitimate response to have, where you miscarry to someone you really loved, and you find out 6 weeks later he's expecting with somebody else, and they're happy. And I just think that was a really legitimate, and I just want to do one, to be honest with you, as well. But good old Dean, wise old Dean, sort of talks around and makes her see a bit of sense, and she looks like she's sticking around, and she does as well look like she's turning a corner with everything. She's give Ryder his job back. She's allowed Bella to host, and Emma, to host the exhibition at Salt. So she seems to be less like the witch Mac, if that's what you want to call, and a bit more like the old Mac. So let's hope that soon she's back to her old self, eh? Now, I thought it was really unfair, actually. Obviously, we revisited this whole Christy and Rachel thing, which I'm actually getting a bit bored of now, if I'm being completely honest. But I think it might be because of everything else that's going on. It's just been so insane. But Christian sort of phones Jasmine and has this weird go at her after she sees him and Rachel doing yet another one of their romantic walks on the beach. And he sort of has a goes at her, and he's like, I don't need your opinion. And she's like, well, stop ringing me, asking me for it then. And I thought, absolutely, Jasmine. And I'm glad she called him out on it. She tried it at the hospital last week. She's just done it again then, and I just thought, you know, it's about time this bloke opened his eyes. Do you know what I mean? So I was really glad about Jasmine biting back there, and actually, it ends up being true what she says, because when he goes to discharge Rachel from the hospital, she grabs his hand and basically reveals that she's got feelings for him, and he knocks her back and says, "No, I'm just friends with you." Now, I've probably not been 100. I've probably not been like 100% fair here with Rachel, to be honest. When I've been sort of discussing this, because I've always sort of spoken about it in a bit of a negative way, and I still think like that. But when I actually think on balance, okay, I think Christian's led her. I think he's led her on. I think, he's talked about all this connection mumbo jumbo. This deeper meaning in life, blah blah blah. And I think that's given her mixed signals. I think he's taken her for walks on the beach, for coffee. He doesn't do that with his other patients. So I think Christian needs to accept responsibility here for this situation he's found himself in, and that he's put Rachel in. If I'm being completely honest, I think it's unfair of him to have been carrying on the way he is, and that's not even getting me started on how unfair he's been to Tori, and I'm glad Tori sort of kicked him to the side. To be honest with you, he's really got on my wick. He really has. She was a bit naive, though, I think, Rachel, to think that someone who was about to be married would just drop and run off with her into the sunset, and it probably says a lot about her character, actually, that she was prepared to do that. I thought, bit of a home wrecker, but she's discharged from the hospital now, so it'll be interesting to see if we see more of her around the bay, because what reason has she got to stay other than she seems to have this infatuation with Christian? So let's see what happens, but it is getting a bit boring. I either want him to go back to Tori, and I mean, I can't blame Tori though for not forgiving him and just sending him on his way, but or just resolve the whole thing and everybody move on, and Tori move on with Grace. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I definitely want Rachel out of the bay though, ASAP. This podcast is brought to you by a fan of Home and Away, and it's for the fans, and I would really appreciate your support if you liked it, shared it, followed or subscribed to it wherever you're listening from, so that you don't miss an episode. Posting weekly, reviewing the last week's episodes of your Channel 5 airings of Home and Away. I would really appreciate your support in helping spread the word and build the podcast. Thank you. Nico, oh, what a silly boy. Where do I even begin? Other than Sienna is a complete snake, right? I can't believe someone would even go to such lengths. And Allegra, she was in on it, Allegra was sent like a lemming to Bella's exhibition, stealing her phone. By the way, why does nobody have a pin on their phone this day and age in Summer Bay? Honest to gosh. So, she's sending daft pictures of Bella and Emmett sort of basically stood near each other, not really looking that romantic anyway, and Nick thinks, oh no, she's cheating on me, I'll jump into bed with Sienna. Absolutely ridiculous. And as regular listeners will know, I cannot bear any of this at all. So I'm trying my best to review it and get through it, but honestly, and then it was just another watching through the gaps in my fingers again. But he's made this mad mistake. It was insane how he even did it. Who on earth would wait about 6 hours for a limo? Like, this is why Uber exists, Nico. The sun had gone down and everything. It's not coming. Like, she's having you on. She's pouring the bloody bubbles, getting you drunk and sending you stupid setup pictures. I mean, honestly, how stupid do you need to be? Anyway, that's enough said about him. But when he gets back, obviously, I mean, the guilt is all over his face. He knows he's got it wrong. He knows he's made an absolute of himself. And I think he knows he's got to do the right thing because, you know, Sienna's now threatening him. You better go to Japan. You know. Of course, it turns to Tane. Okay, you know, Tane, who's bad boy come good boy now, who tells him, you gotta do the right thing. You gotta be a man. You gotta face the consequences and go and tell her. And he goes to Bella. It looks like he's going to tell her. We all hold our breath, but then he chickens out. So, you know, I think he's going to be going around this revolving Sienna playing games with him now, pulling the strings, even more so, calling the shots than she has been, and that's his own doing. It's his own fault. I couldn't give a crap what happens to him now. Feel really bad for Bella, but Bella packs a punch. She'll stand up for herself when she finds out, and she'll she'll tell everybody what she thinks of him. But I wouldn't want Bella being taken for a ride, especially what she's been through in her life. So I hope they're not all laughing at her too long behind her back, and I hope that she, tells them what for when the time comes. Right. There's a new detective in town to investigate the murder of Susie McAllister, and she's not messing about, is she? She's hauling all the suspects back in, and she's a bit of a weird detective, if you ask me. She's not scary enough for a start, and I don't know. John made a comment about her being a bit lightweight. She's a bit odd. She's a bit like, girl next door type, but she doesn't look like a detective or carry herself like a detective, does she? When you see her, but she's not messing about. She knows her stuff. Absolute cracking interview with Irene that made me laugh, and Irene was, "Don't come there all wrong with me." And Amy, she's called the detective, isn't she? She sort of says, "Now don't go leaving town now, you know the drill." I know you've been arrested before for murder, Irene, so you know what you're doing. I thought it was quite funny. She looks like she's going to get to the bottom of it, doesn't she, right? And was it Irene who said to the, and everyone's rattled a bit, aren't they? John's rattled, it's coming back and forth. Irene's rattled a bit, and she's right. She's shaking all the trees to find out what falls off, and I think she thinks. Does she think that because it's such a close knit community that they all know who and are they covering for each other? Is that the avenue she's going down? Interesting that she gatecrashed Leah and Stephen's sort of drink. Well, I said that in the back. I can't even talk about that sort of near miss kiss thing between them two, but that's another time. And basically, did this sort of interview with wine as it was described. She's going to be one to watch, I think, over the coming week or so. I think she's determined to close the case, and I think she'll get closer than Cash. She's got a very interesting interview technique, and I actually quite enjoy watching her. So we'll see if she can find out the truth in a heartbeat. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for listening, and as I say in between episodes, if you can't wait for next weekend when a new episode of Coastal News will be published, join us on socials at Coastal News Pod for more discussion in between as the episodes air on Channel 5. We'll be back next week dissecting more of the drama from the Bay. We'll see you then. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.